Hi everyone, the Magic Treehouse book I have today is called Tigers at Twilight. This is book number 19. Let's get started. First, I'll start with a prologue. One day in Frog Creek Woods, Pennsylvania, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. 8-year-old Jack and his 7-year-old sister Annie climbed into the treehouse. They found that it was filled with books. Jack and Annie soon discovered that the treehouse was magic. It could take them to the places in the books. All they had to do was point to a picture and wish to go there. Along the way, Jack and Annie discovered that the treehouse belongs to Morgan Le Fay. Morgan is a magical librarian from the time of King Arthur. She travels through time and space gathering books. In Magic Treehouse books number 5 through 8, Jack and Annie helped free Morgan from a spell. In books 9 through 12, they solved 4 ancient riddles and became master librarians. In Magic Treehouse books number 13 through 16, Jack and Annie had to save 4 ancient stories from being lost forever. In Magic Treehouse books 17 through 20, Jack and Annie must be given 4 special gifts to help free an enchanted dog from a spell. They have already received a gift on a trip on the Titanic and a gift from the Lakota Indians. Now they are about to set out in search of the 3rd gift. Chapter 1. How far away? Jack and Annie walked past the Frog Creek Woods on their way home from the library. I miss Teddy, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. He's a really smart dog, said Annie. And wise, said Jack. And brave. And funny. And here, said Annie. What? Said Jack. Here. Annie pointed to the Frog Creek Woods. A small dog with tan-colored fur was peeking out from the bushes. Arf, arf, he barked. Oh, wow, Teddy, said Jack. The little dog ran off into the woods. Let's go, said Annie. She and Jack raced after Teddy. The Frog Creek Woods glowed with late afternoon sunlight. The dog ran between the trees. And finally stopped at a rope ladder. It hung from the tallest oak tree and led up to the Magic Tree House. Teddy waited for Jack and Annie to catch up. He panted and wagged his tail. Hi, you, cried Annie. She picked up the little dog and hugged him. We missed you. Yeah, silly, said Jack. He kissed Teddy. Teddy licked his face. Is it time to get our 3rd gift? Asked Annie. Teddy sneezed as if to say, Of course. Annie grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack put Teddy inside his backpack and followed. They climbed into the treehouse. There was the note from Morgan Le Fay. It was on the floor, just where it had been 2 days ago. Jack let Teddy out of his pack. Annie picked up the note and read, This little dog is under a spell and needs your help. To free him, you must be given 4 special things. A gift from a ship lost at sea. A gift from the prairie blue. A gift from a forest far away. A gift from a kangaroo. Be wise, be brave, be careful. Morgan. Jack touched the first 2 gifts, which they had already gotten, a pocket watch from the Titanic, and an eagle's feather from the Lakota Indians of the Great Plains. Now we have to get the 3rd gift from a forest far away, said Annie. I wonder how far away, said Jack. I know how to find out, said Annie. Where's our book? She and Jack looked around the treehouse for one of the research books that Morgan left for them. Arf, arf! Teddy pawed at a book in the corner. Jack picked it up and read the title, Wildlife of India. Oh man, India, he said. That's really far away. Let's get going, said Annie, so we can find Teddy. Or so we can free Teddy, she said. Jack pointed at the cover of the book. I wish we could go there, he said. The wind started to blow, the treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster, then everything was still, absolutely still, but only for a moment. Chapter 2, Ka and Co. The warm air burst with sound. Caw-caw! Ee-ee-ee! Ack, ack, ack! What's going on? Said Jack. He and Annie looked out the window. The sky was lit by an orange glow as the sun went down. The treehouse was in a tree by a stream at the edge of a forest. The wild screeching and cawing came from the forest's tall, leafy trees. Just then, 2 creatures leaped onto the windowsill. Ah! Jack and Annie yelled, jumping back. Annie burst out laughing. Arf, arf! Teddy barked. 2 small monkeys peered at them. Their dark faces were framed with light gray fur. They looked as if they were wearing parkas. Hi, said Annie. I'm Annie. He's Jack, and he's Teddy. What are your names? Caw-caw, 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 the monkeys chattered. Cool, said Annie. She turned to Jack. Her name is Ka and his name is Co. Oh, brother, said Jack. I bet he is her brother, said Annie. Ka and Co whooped as if laughing at Annie's joke. Their yellow eyes twinkled. I bet he is her brother, said Annie. Ka and Co whooped as if they laughed at Annie's joke. Their yellow eyes twinkled. We came to get a gift from the forest, said Annie. Do you know where we can find it? The monkeys nodded and chattered. Then they started down the tree. Using their long tails and arms, they swung from branch to branch. They jumped to the ground and looked up. Coming! Hey, bring Teddy, Jack, Annie said. Then she started down the ladder. Jack quickly flipped through the Wildlife of India book and he found a picture of the gray monkeys. He read, "This monkey is called a langur. The word langur means having a long tail." Jack pulled his notebook and pencil out of his backpack and he wrote, "Langur means long tail." Annie's laughter came from below. It blended with the sounds of the forest. "Arf, arf," barked Teddy. Okay, said Jack. He put the book into his notebook and Teddy into his pack. Then he hurried down the ladder. Annie was playing with the langurs on the stream bank. Jack put Teddy on the ground. Cobb bounded over to Jack and grabbed his hand. The langur's paw felt tiny, like a human hand. Cobb pulled Jack toward the forest, and Cole pulled Annie, and Teddy scampered after them. The langurs climbed the huge leafy trees. Then they began switching from branch to branch like kids in a jungle gym. Annie dashed beneath the swinging monkeys, and Teddy ran after her. Wait, Jack called, hurrying after them all. "Annie, slow down. We don't know anything about this place." The langurs slowed down as if they understood Jack's words. Jack caught up with Annie. Then they walked through the forest. "This is so amazing," said Annie. Jack agreed. The sunset gave the trees a fiery glow. The hot air smelled sweet. Blue peacocks spread their tails. Yellow birds flew from tree to tree. A small deer ate red flowers in a clearing. "It's like paradise," said Annie. "Yeah, but don't forget about the title of the book, Wildlife of India," said Jack. "Wildlife means scary animals, too." Jack noticed long, deep gashes in a tree as they walked by, and he stopped. "What happened there?" And he shrugged and kept walking. Jack pulled the book out of his pack, and there was a picture of a tree with gashes. He read out loud, "Tigers sharpen their claws on the tree trunks. They leave big gashes in the bark." "What?" said Annie. She stopped and looked back at the tree. "See what I mean?" said Jack. "Tigers live here, and one of them just came this way." Chapter 3, Life or Death. "Tiger," said Annie. "Cool." Jack read more. "A wild tiger eats almost 5,000 pounds of fresh raw meat a year." "Oh, not so cool," said Annie. Jack went on. "Tigers usually leave elephants alone, and like many smaller cats, tigers avoid wild dogs." Teddy growled. "Wild dogs, not a shrimp like you," Jack said to Teddy. "A tiger would eat you in 1 minute." Teddy growled again. Just then Cotton Co began hooting. "Coo, coo, coo, coo." The peacocks cried, "Cock, cock, cock." A small deer made a short barking sound and stamped their hooves. "What's going on?" said Annie. We better put Teddy in my pack," said Jack, "to keep him safe." Jack slipped the dog into his pack. Teddy's head poked out the top. "All set?" Jack asked the little dog. Teddy growled again. This time, a deep, fierce growl answered back. It seemed to surround them. Jack's hair stood on end. "Yikes," said Annie. "A tiger," said Jack. "Arf, arf," Teddy barked. Cotton Co screeched at Jack and Annie from their tree. "They want us to join them," said Annie. "Come on." She grabbed a branch and climbed up. Jack's hands were shaking as he put his backpack on. He grabbed a branch and pushed off the ground. He pulled himself into the tree. Another growl shook the forest. "Oh, man," said Jack. "Coo, coo, coo." The langurs climbed up higher in the tree. Jack and Annie followed them, climbing from branch to branch. The sky above was no longer glowing. The bright orange sun faded into a twilight gray. Jack looked down. He couldn't see the ground at all. He listened for another scary roar. Only the cries of frightened forest creatures filled the air. "Maybe the tiger's gone," said Annie. Jack glanced at Cotton Co. The langurs cuddled together. Their dark faces looked worried. "And maybe not," said Jack. "How can we get through the forest without running into him?" said Annie. "That's a problem," said Jack. "And it's getting dark. Soon we won't be able to see anything." Cotton Co hooted again. They pointed down at the tree trunk. "Arf, arf," Teddy barked from Jack's pack. "Did they see the tiger?" Jack asked. His heart was thumping again. He couldn't see anything but leaves and branches. Then far below, he saw the tree trunk move. "A snake," said Annie. The snake was slithering around the trunk. It had black and tan markings. The snake's body was as thick as the tree trunk. "A python," said Jack. The python kept curling around the tree trunk. "Is it poisonous?" asked Annie. Jack pulled out their book. By the last light of the day, he found a picture of a python, and he read, "The python is not a poisonous snake." "Phew," said Annie. "Not so fast," Jack said, and he read more. "To kill its prey, the python squeezes it to death, then swallows it whole. A python can swallow an animal the size of a full-grown deer." "Oh, yuck," said Annie. "That's more than just yuck, Annie," Jack said. "This is life or death." Cotton Co chatted at Annie. "Not now," said Jack. "We have to think." The langurs grabbed thick vines. They leaned back, and they jumped out of the tree. The langurs swung through the air like trapeze artists. They swung over bushes and tall grasses and landed in another tree. They screeched at Jack and Annie and waved their arms. I know what they're saying, said Annie. They want us to copy them. Chapter 4. Swing Time. Annie grabbed a vine. Jack looked back at the python. The giant snake was still winding its way up the tree. It had almost reached their branch. Jack took a deep breath. Then he grabbed a vine, too. Lean back like Han did, said Annie. Jack and Annie leaned back. 1, 2, 3, go! They swung off the tree. Jack felt his stomach drop. Air rushed by. Leaves and branches slapped at him. Suddenly, the forest shook with great roar. Like a flame, a tiger leaped up from the bushes. His yellow eyes blazed. His teeth shone like daggers. His claws barely missed Jack and Annie. Ah! They yelled. The tiger crashed back down into the bushes. Jack and Annie swung into the langurs tree. Jack threw one leg around a trunk. He let go of his vine and held tightly onto the branch. Oh, man, he said. He was in shock. The langurs patted him as if to make sure he was okay. Wow, that was fun, said Annie, sitting on a big branch. Fun? Are you nuts? Said Jack. The swinging was fun, said Annie. The tiger was scary. Just then the tree began to shake. Branches snapped below. Oh, no, said Jack. Can tigers climb trees? Said Annie. Probably, said Jack. He hugged the trunk and he squeezed his eyes shut. From below came the sounds of chewing, smacking, and crunching. Teddy growled. Jack groaned. Now the tiger's eating the tree, he said. Annie burst into laughter. Conco whooped as if they were laughing too. Arf, arf, barked Teddy. What? Jack said and he opened his eyes. Look, and he pointed to the twilight. A thick gray tube was waving in the air. Another snake, Jack said, horrified. No, said Annie, an elephant trunk. The trunk wiggled near Jack and Annie as if it was sniffing them. Then it picked leaves up from the tree and disappeared. Let's go see, said Annie. With Teddy still on his backpack, Jack followed Annie down to a lower branch. They peered out at the twilight forest. In the gray gloom, they saw a herd of elephants. One stood beneath the tree, eating leaves, and others munched on grass. Hey, I have a really cool idea, said Annie. Chapter 4 ended earlier than I was thinking it was going to. Anyway, here's Chapter 5, Night Walk. Uh-oh, said Jack. What is it? I know how to escape the tiger, said Annie. Our book said tigers don't attack elephants, right? Yeah, said Jack. So we should travel through the forest on the back of an elephant, said Annie. Jack nodded slowly. That is a good idea, but... No buts, said Annie. I'll get on first. She climbed down the tree until she was close to the elephant's back. She carefully lowered herself off a branch. When her feet rested on the elephant's back, she let go of the branch. Then she slowly sat down. The elephant let out a low rumbling sound and shifted her weight. Don't worry, it's just me, said Annie. She patted the huge creature's back. Thanks, Saba. Saba? That's her name, said Annie. She just told me. Yeah, right, said Jack. Arf, arf, barked Teddy. Come on, Jack, said Annie. It's not scary. Jack sighed and slowly climbed down the tree. When he was above Saba, he lowered himself off the branch. He put both feet on the elephant, then carefully sat down in front of Annie. Saba rumbled again. Tell her not to worry, said Annie. Pat her head. Don't worry, Saba, said Jack. He petted the elephant's head. Her skin was rough and wrinkled. The elephant curled her trunk back and rested it on Jack's head. Hi, he said in a small voice. Saba flapped her ears. Cotton Co swung to the ground in front of Saba. They chattered at her. She waved her trunk at them. The langurs began bounding through the forest. Saba followed. The rest of the herd followed in a line. Saba walked with a calm, rolling motion. Jack felt as if he were riding the ocean waves. A full moon was rising above the trees. Where are we going? Jack asked. Just relax, said Annie. Cotton Co know where to go. Arf, said Teddy, barking from Jack's backpack. You relax too, Jack said to the little dog. Fireflies blinked. The moon lit a path between the trees as the elephants marched on. From a distance came a low growl. Is that the tiger? Wondered Jack. The elephants paid no attention. They kept walking through the warm woods. They marched slowly under hanging vines through misty clearings. Cotton Co bounded ahead of them, two moon shadows leading the way. We're going far from the treehouse, said Jack. Don't worry, said Annie. Suddenly, a long roar split the night. A chill went down Jack's spine. The roar came again. It turned into a yowling. The yowling turned into a steady moaning. It sounded as if the whole forest were moaning. That's a really sad sound, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack. But the elephants marched on. Jack rocked in sleepy rhythm with Saba's walk. He could hear Teddy snoring in his backpack. Soon, Jack's head rested on Saba's back. He began drifting in and out of dreams of rocking in a boat under dark treetops. Chapter 6, Swamp Creature. Caw, caw, awk, 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 awk. Jack slowly came out of his dream. He opened his eyes with a start. He was surrounded by hazy sunlight. Where am I? He thought in a panic. Then he remembered. He was in India, on an elephant's back. He sat up. Through the haze, he saw that Saba was standing on a muddy stream bank. Jack yawned. Where was Annie? The other elephants were upstream. They sprayed water on each other with their trunks. Teddy, Cot, and Co. were at the edge of the forest. Teddy sniffed the tall grass. The langurs ate flowers. Good morning, called Annie. She was sitting in a big black rock downstream. She was barefoot and soaking wet. Hi, said Jack. How'd you get down? Teddy and I slid off Saba into the mud, said Annie. Try it, but throw your sneakers and backpack down first. Annie went to Saba's side. Her feet were buried up in mud, up into her ankles. Jack threw his things to Annie. Then he patted Saba's rough, wrinkled skin. Thanks for the ride, he said softly. The elephant touched him one last time with her trunk. Jack slid down her side, feet first, and fell into the mud. He caught himself with his hands. They sank into the mud past his wrists. His glasses were spattered, too. Wash off in the stream, said Annie. She put Jack's pack and shoes on the rock while Jack waded into the cool water. He washed the mud off his hands and feet. He rinsed off his glasses. Then he looked around. Saba had joined the rest of the herd. The elephants looked beautiful in the morning mist. Everything looked beautiful. Yellow and blue water birds spread their wings. Mossy hanging vines swayed in the breeze. Huge white flowers floated on top of the stream. Then Jack saw a strange sight. It looked like a horn and 2 ears sticking out of the water. One ear flicked a fly away. There's a weird creature out here, he called to Annie. It looks like it has a horn. Annie waded into the stream. I better check the book. He hurried to his pack, wiping his wet hands on his t-shirt. He pulled out the India book. There was a picture of a horn sticking out of the water, and he read, The one-horned rhinoceros or rhino washes in a forest stream. Rhinos are not usually dangerous, but because they do not see well, sometimes they charge at things by mistake. A loud noise will usually stop them. Jack felt sorry for rhinos. Too bad animals can't wear glasses, he thought, and he read more. The Indian rhino is a very endangered animal. This means that there are not many left. People called poachers kill them and sell their body parts as medicine and good luck charms. Jack started to take out his notebook. Just then, a slurpy sloshing sound came from the water. Whoa, said Annie. Jack looked up. The rhino rose from the stream. He looked like an ancient swamp creature. Oh, man, said Jack. The rhino peeked at Annie with his tiny eyes. Then he snorted and lowered his head. His horn was pointed right at Annie. Make a loud noise, Jack yelled. Annie clapped her hands and shouted, We come in peace! The rhino stopped. He grunted. Then he sank back into the water. Annie laughed. Phew, said Jack. I better take some notes about that big guy. Arf, arf, Teddy barked from the edge of the forest. And I better get Teddy, said Annie. She hurried out of the stream and ran to get the dog. Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote, One-horned rhino, an endangered animal, needs glasses. Jack, shouted Annie. She was racing toward him with Teddy at her heels. Come quick! What's wrong? He said. We found something terrible. Annie was close to tears. Really terrible. Chapter 7, Trapped. Jack threw his things into his pack and followed Annie to the forest edge. Teddy stayed close to them, whining. Cotton Co bounced around, chattering nervously. As Jack got closer, he saw a tiger. The tiger was lying on its side, completely still. His eyes were closed. His front paw was caught in a trap. Is he dead? Said Jack. No, he's still breathing, Annie said. A tear ran down her cheek. He's worn out from struggling. He must have gotten caught last night. That's the sad sound we heard. What can we do? Said Jack. We have to free him, said Annie. She started towards the tiger. Wait, said Jack, and he grabbed her. Tigers eat people, you know. He took a deep breath. Let's see what the book says. Hurry, said Annie. Jack opened their India book and he found a chapter called Tiger Traps. And he read, Poachers catch Indian tigers with steel traps. This is against the law. After trapping a tiger, they kill it and sell the body parts for money. Like the rhino, the tiger is a very endangered species. If the killing does not end, they both face extinction. Extinction means that someday there will be no Indian tigers or rhinos left on Earth. Oh man, we do have to save him, said Jack. Under the writing was a picture of a steel trap used to catch tigers. Jack studied it. It looked horrible and deadly. Okay, he said. He showed the picture to Annie. Here's the plan. I'll push down on this part. The trap will spring open. Then you pull his leg out. Got it? Got it, said Annie. Sit, Teddy. The little dog sat. The langurs watched silently as Jack and Annie moved closer to the tiger. He was the most majestic creature Jack had ever seen. His huge head was a dark orange color. He had perfect black and white stripes around his wide face. The leg in the ugly steel trap was bleeding. Slowly, silently, Jack pulled down on the lever. He raised the bar off the tiger's leg. The tiger kept sleeping. Slowly and silently, Annie freed the tiger's leg. She stroked his fur gently. "Get well," she whispered. The tiger didn't move. Slowly, silently, Jack and Annie stood up. They turned around. They started tiptoeing back toward the Langers. "Go, go, go," warned Ka and Co. Jack and Annie looked back. The tiger was on his feet. He was staring right at them. His eyes seemed to glow. Jack looked about wildly. How could they escape? The tiger snarled at Jack and Annie. Then slowly and silently, he started toward them. Chapter 8. Wonder Dog. The huge tiger limped closer and closer to Jack and Annie. Jack clapped his hands. "We come in peace," he shouted. But the tiger didn't turn away. His eyes blazed. His lip curled. "Arf, arf," Teddy barked fiercely at Annie. "Teddy says run and hide." Annie grabbed Jack's hand and pulled him over to the bank. "Wait, what about Teddy?" he cried. "Don't worry," said Annie. She pulled Jack down behind the black rock. "What about Teddy?" Jack asked again. "He's okay, he told me," said Annie. Jack heard Teddy's barks turn into fierce growls. "Arf, arf, arf, grrr." The growls grew louder and louder. "That doesn't sound like Teddy," Jack said. Then suddenly, there was silence. A strange silence. "Teddy," Annie asked. Now she sounded worried. Annie raised her head. She and Jack both peeked over the rock. Teddy stood tall and brave in the grass. The tiger was limping away. He disappeared between the trees. All the forest seemed to hold its breath until Annie broke the silence. "Teddy, you're a wonder dog," she said. The Langers clapped and jumped up and down. "Arf, arf!" Teddy was just like a small, scruffy dog again. He wagged his tail and ran to Jack and Annie. Annie scooped him up. "You saved us," she said. "How did you drive away that tiger?" asked Jack, rubbing Teddy's head. "Did you turn into a wild dog?" Teddy just panted and licked them both. Jack pushed his glasses into place and looked back at the forest. "Well, I guess we won't be getting a thank you gift from that tiger," he said. Annie laughed. "I guess not," she said. "I wonder where our gift is. And I wonder where the treehouse is." Cotton Co chattered at Jack. Then they bounded down the bank, waving their arms. "They want us to follow them again," said Annie. She and Jack grabbed their things off the rock. They hurried down the stream after the Langers. The water shimmered in the early light. A silverfish leaped into the air. Teddy bounded ahead with Cotton Co. Soon they disappeared around a bend. Jack and Annie followed them. When they went around the bend, they saw a man sitting cross-legged on a rock. The Langers sat close to him. The man's eyes were closed. He had long white hair and a long white beard. His skin was brown. He looked very peaceful. Chapter 9. The Hermit. Cotton Co smoothed the man's hair with their little paws and patted his cheeks gently. The man smiled and whispered to the Langers. His eyes stayed closed. Teddy walked up to the man and licked his hands. The man still didn't open his eyes, but he stroked Teddy's fur. "Knock, knock," Annie said softly. "Is someone there?" the man asked. He turned his face toward Jack and Annie. Now his eyes were open, but he didn't seem to see them. Jack realized that the man was blind. "Hi, I'm Annie," said Annie. "And I'm Jack," said Jack. The blind man smiled. "Good," he said, nodding. "Would you like to visit with me?" "Sure," said Annie. She and Jack sat down next to the man. "Do you live in the forest?" Annie asked. "Yes." "Are you a hermit?" Jack asked. "Yes." "What's a hermit?" said Annie. "Hermits live far away from other people," said the blind man. "We like to be alone to think. I live in the forest so I can learn from nature." "How do you learn?" said Jack. "I listen," said the blind man. "Listen to what?" "To the chatter of the monkeys, the rumble of the elephant, the roar of the tiger," said the man. "I have listened for so long they have all begun to sound like one voice, the one great voice of the forest." "Did the voice tell you that a tiger got caught in a trap last night?" said Annie. "Yes," the hermit said. "And did it tell you that after we saved him he tried to attack us?" said Jack. The blind man smiled. Please bring me one of the white flowers floating on the stream," he said. Jack wondered why the hermit was changing the subject. But Annie jumped up and hurried to the stream. She pulled at one of the large white flowers. It came up, muddy root and all. She took it to the blind man. "Thank you." "Oh, thank you," he said. The man touched the flower's large white petals and its dirty root. "This perfect lotus blossom grows from the dark, thick mud," he said. "Its beauty cannot live without the ugliness. Do you understand?" Yes, said Jack and Annie. When you saved the tiger, you saved all of him, said the blind man. You saved his graceful beauty and his fierce, savage nature. You cannot have one without the other. All right, said Jack. Take this lotus as a thank you gift from all the forest for saving our fierce friend, said the blind man. Our world would not be complete without him. And he took the gift from the hermit. A gift from a forest far away, she said. Arf, arf, and Teddy wagged his tail. The langurs clapped. We can go home now, said Jack, if we can just find the way. Do not worry, said the blind man. Your house is in the tree. The house in the trees is close by. The elephants walk in a large circle, so you are back at the place where you started. Really? Said Jack. The blind man pointed to the sky. There was the magic tree house, high in a nearby tree. Oh, great, said Jack. I told you not to worry, said Annie. She and Jack pulled up their socks and shoes and stood up. Before they left, Annie touched the hand of the blind man. Thanks for everything, she said. The man held her hand for a moment. Then he took Jack's hand. Jack felt a wave of calm wash over him. Thank you, he said to the blind man. Cotton Coat chattered and held out their long arms. Jack and Annie hugged the two langurs. We'll miss you, said Annie. You were a great tour guide, said Jack. Goodbye, said Jack. Then he and Annie took off into the magic treehouse with Teddy scampering after them. At the rope ladder, Jack put Teddy into his pack and climbed up. Annie carried the lotus blossom as she followed them. Inside the treehouse, Jack picked up the Pennsylvania book, but before he made a wish, he looked out the window at Annie, or with Annie. In the distance, they saw Saba and the other elephants bathing in the stream. They saw Cotton Coat swinging on the vines. They saw the tiger sunbathing in the grass, licking its sore leg. They saw tiny deer grazing. They saw bright red birds in the tree. They saw the blind man sitting in front of his cave. He was smiling. Jack opened the book. He pointed to a picture of Frog Creek Woods. I wish we could go home, he said. The treehouse started to spin. The wind started to blow. It blew harder and harder. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10. Who are you, really? Jack opened his eyes. Late afternoon sunlight shined into the treehouse. Our third gift, said Annie. She put the lotus blossom beside the pocket watch from the Titanic and the eagle's feather from the Lakota Indians. One more gift, she said to Teddy, and you'll be free from your spell. The little dog licked her hand. Hey, tell me this, said Jack. How did you know Teddy wanted us to hide behind that rock? Annie shrugged. I just knew. I think I saw it in his eyes. You did? Jack said, looking at Teddy. The little dog tilted his head and stared back at Jack. Teddy's eyes twinkled as if they held many secrets. Who are you really? Said Jack. Teddy just smiled, a doggy smile, and wagged his tail. Come for us again soon, said Annie. Okay? Teddy sneezed, as if to say, of course. Jack grabbed his pack. Then he and Annie climbed down the rope ladder. When they stood on the ground, they looked up. A little black nose was poking out of the treehouse window. Bye, they called. Arf, arf. Jack and Annie took off between the trees. Birds sang in the twilight. Squirrels scampered playfully through the leaves. The Frog Creek woods were very tame after the forest in India. Soon they came to their street. As they walked to their house, the last bit of daylight was slipping away. Before they went inside, Jack and Annie sat on their steps. I have 2 questions, said Jack. If the hermit couldn't see, how did he know about the treehouse? And how did he know that we had traveled all night with the elephants? Easy, said Annie. The one great voice of the forest told him. Jack said. He closed his eyes for a moment and listened. He heard a car going down the street. He heard a woodpecker pecking. He heard crickets chirping. He heard a screen door opening. He heard his mom saying, time for dinner, kids. All the sounds were like one great voice. The one great voice of home. And that is the end of book number 19, Tigers at Twilight. Thanks for reading. I'll see you next time.